get to them. And okay, we're good. Okay.
Okay, so we were talking, and basically what I'm going to do is I went through and just took notes while I was reading. So I'm just going to share the notes that I jotted down for the introduction, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and then the marshals will go through 3, 4, and 5. First and foremost, I want to say the thing that I love about Dave is he is a straight shooter. He is no nonsense. Sometimes it comes across a little harsh for people that maybe don't realize that they need to hear it, but he's so spot on with everything. And even though it is maybe sometimes hard to hear, it's probably because we do need to hear it. But that's one of the things that I love most about him. And I think with the introduction, he's kind of just laying that out for us. He's just saying, this is how I am. This is what I did. I know this works. People tell you it doesn't work, it's because they didn't do it, is basically what he's saying. So I love that. One of the first things that I wrote down with the introduction notes is something that is going to be repeated probably a lot throughout this book. And it's basically personal finance is 20% know-how, 80% behavior. That is so important to realize from the get-go. And basically all it's saying is we need to, the way that I'm taking it is basically like money is just an object. It is a piece of paper. It is a coin in our hand. It doesn't do anything. It's what we tell it to do. We're the ones spending the money. We are the ones doing it. So if we're not changing and we're not doing anything different, it's not going to do anything different from it. It can't do anything for us. We have to be the ones to change. We have to be the ones to tell it what to do. People know what to do. It's just doing it, which is hard. And I think that it's the same thing in the business. I think a lot of times I'm going to relate a lot of this to some of the business stuff on the business side, because I think they kind of go hand in hand, which is really exciting that we're doing this. So I'm glad that we're doing that. The next thing I wrote down was behavior, which goes right along with that. It's all about behavior. To change your money thing, we have to be the ones to change. We can't just read the book. We have to do the practices that it says. We have to follow the plan. We have to take a hard look at ourselves, what we're doing. We have to take a look at the conversations that we're having. And then, like I said, we have to change. We have to be the one to change. The plan for getting out of debt is just like our businesses, like I just said. It's not only going to change for our life, but it's going to change our family's life as well. So I love that. And I think that's something that we should be really, really excited about too. It's not only going to change our immediate family's life, but once we start teaching our kids about money and all the know-how that we're going to have by going through this book and getting our money right, it's going to change their life from the get-go. I mean, they're not going to have student loans. If we're doing things the right way, they're going to be going to college without having student loans. They're going to be buying cars for cash. They're not going to have that $500 a month car payment. They're not going to be having the fights that maybe some of us have had with our significant other, because we are already teaching that from the get-go. And they're going to teach their kids that. And that should be something that we should be really, really excited about. It's going to change the family tree. And Mark talks about that all the time with It Works too. So I love that goes hand in hand. Don't take advice from broke people. That's plain and simple. I mean, I'm not going to go ask, like, let's say my mom, okay, I'm getting ready to buy a car and I've saved up money for it, but my mom wants me to really finance it. And my mom's not broke by any means, but I just know that she doesn't think the same way. So if she was a broke person, I'm not going to go to her and say, hey mom, what do you think I should be doing? What kind of car do you think I should get? Because I know that she doesn't know these practices. And so don't go to broke. I mean, that's just common sense. Again, that's just a common sense thing. I loved how he used the story of the 3 little pigs, about the 2 pigs that were doing things easy. Everything's really easy. And I love how he was talking. I don't think it's in the introduction, and I hope it's not in what you're going to talk about, but how he was talking about how you have to be mature. You can't, like, kids are wanting things now. I want that now. And being the spender, I feel that in my bones. Like I get that. But you have to be mature. We are adults. We have to be the ones to say, we're going to do things that might be a little painful now, knowing that it's going to pay off in the end. So I love that he used the three little pigs in that scenario as well. Like things can be easy. We can throw up this house really quickly. But when it comes time for the storm, it's the one who is prepared whose house is standing in the end. And so I know I want to be that person. I know I want my family to be prepared. And I think my family is a great example of that too. The storm came when Brooklyn was diagnosed with cancer, but we were prepared because we did the hard things before that storm ever came. So I'm not saying that you guys will have a sick individual, but I mean, the storm could be the fact that you need 4 new tires on your car. That could be the storm. And I think it says, and again, I hope this isn't in your part, Trista, but 70% of the people in America are living paycheck to paycheck. So buying new tires on a car could be a huge storm for a lot of people because they don't have the money saved back for that. So we just want you to be prepared, and that's why this plan is going to do it. We're going to be prepared. We live in a cause and effect world. What you sow is what you reap. Again, I thought that spoke volumes for our businesses too. We talk about that all the time. If you're sitting here doing the 6 list, doing the hard things day in, day out, you're going to be prepared for your harvest when it comes. You're going to be ready. It's the same thing with going debt free. If you're, putting your money away, if you're saying no to the things that you want to normally say yes to, that you normally say yes to, if you're doing the changes in your behavior now, it's going to pay off for you in the future. And I love this quote: "A man with experience is not at the mercy of a man with an opinion." I remember writing that down, and then I looked over at Nathan. I was like, we talk about this all the time. And again, I related this back to the business. We talk about using products all of the time. So when you do have somebody being a naysayer saying those products don't work, but if you have your results, you've done the work, you have the results, it doesn't matter what this person's saying over here. It's the same thing when you're doing the work with going debt free. If you know that this plan works, if you follow the steps that Dave's putting out for you and you do the work, it doesn't matter if your mom says that's silly, what you're doing is silly. And I think he even says it in the first 5 chapters, like you are going to get some pushback from a lot of people because you're trying to change. But that's not going to matter because you are already winning with money because you've been following the steps. So their opinions don't matter. You're doing what's best for your family. Always remember that. Another quote that he says: "With people going around buying things they can't afford with money they didn't have to impress the people they don't even like." It's keeping up with the Joneses. That's probably why a lot of us are in the situation that we are in. When we had for us, we had a bunch of debt. We bought a house that we probably couldn't afford, but we needed one. So we did it, and everybody else was buying houses they couldn't afford. So we did it too. Not that we were trying to impress people, but we thought we needed it. Okay, I talked about the chapter 1. I'm back. Okay, so I love the notes that I wrote in chapter 1. The first part of it was the feelings of living in debt that he talked about. And I wrote all of the feelings that he said when he was talking about when he was sitting down with his wife and it was time to do the bills and stuff. He felt out of control. He felt loss. He felt dread, afraid, terrified, inadequate. They felt the things that they wanted were out of reach. They were sick and tired of being sick and tired, and there was a heaviness about them all the time. And this is what I want you guys to remember about those feelings and how I said like 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. You guys, you can use this as your story. You're going to be relatable with all of these feelings. If you're feeling a lot of these feelings right now when you walk out to the mailbox and you are getting that bill and you know, this is going to cause a fight with my husband. Here, we're going to have to fight about this again. We're not going to have enough money at the end of the month to pay this bill. You are feeling one of these feelings, most likely, right? You're going to be relatable to 70% of the people in America because you're living paycheck to paycheck. So use that as a business post. Be relatable to people. Use that in your story. Christy and I are going to be doing a Zoom about how to help you guys sign loyal or distributors. And that's something we're going to talk about. You want to make your story relatable. Talk about those feelings of I'm feeling this way when I go out to my mailbox every single day or whenever, every Friday, whatever. I feel like I have no power over this right now because I'm in debt. But because of It Works and because of the Total Money Makeover, I'm going to get out of debt one day. I'm doing the work that I need to do. And It Works is going to help me. Okay. You guys can use that as a business post. So use those feelings. Write down how you feel when it's time to sit down and look at your budget, or you're going to the mailbox. Write down those feelings, and because that's going to be super relatable. Again, it talks about how money is 80% behavior, 20% know-how. What to do isn't the problem, doing it is. And then he says it's going to be very hard. Change is hard. And this is where I related to my weight loss journey. I am not perfect in that by any means. It's hard for me because and this is what I was telling Nathan when I was going through this, writing this stuff down. Because he's always like, okay, well, what should we do? What can I do to help you? And I said, well, I know what to do. It's just doing it that's hard for me, because I've had years and years and years and years and years and years of not cooking for my family, because it's so much easier for me to go pick something up on the way home from work. When I was a single mom with Brayden, it was so much easier for me to pick something up after I picked him up from daycare, go home and eat it in 5 minutes and have the cleanup done, because I hate cooking because it takes me forever. I'm not a good cook. It takes me forever. We sit down and eat for 10 minutes and then it takes 20 to 30 minutes to clean it up. I hated it. That's why I hate it. But I know I need to be doing that. Those are the things that I know I need to be changing to get the goals to meet my goal in weight loss. Like I know all of the things. It's doing it that's hard. And so it goes back to that. Yes, it's going to be very hard, but it's going to be worth it, guys. Doing the changing in behavior when you're spending money is hard because it's new. It's a new habit for you. So it's going to feel hard, and that's okay. But you have to always remember how it's going to feel when you don't have those feelings that I was talking about. You don't feel out of control anymore because you tell your money where to go. You're not feeling afraid. You're not feeling terrified anymore. That's what you have to remember. I like how he says this plan works every single time. He's done it. I've done it. The Marshalls have done it. It's worked. It works. So be excited about that too. I loved this, what he said, sacrifice for a short period of time so they will never have to sacrifice again. That was huge. And this is what I don't want you guys to get terrified of. Sacrifice is kind of a scary word for a lot of people. Don't get scared of sacrifice. Okay, change it to something else. Think of it as saying, I'm saying no to the good things now so I can say yes to the great things later. Okay, take sacrifice out of that. Just know that you're saying no to the good things now so you can say yes to the great things later, because living debt-free is great. You will win and it will be worth it. And the thing that I wrote down about Mark and Carrie's story is the key to success was when they both got on the same page at the same time. They were each other's source of strength during the weak moments, and when spending sounded fun again, they were there to kind of keep each other in check. And then at the end of it, they were having fun. And I think that goes back to my story that I said, Nathan and I's story that we were talking about on the first Zoom, is it was fun that we were on the same page and we were working together towards a common goal. It brought us a lot closer during that time. Were there hard times? 100%. Yes. There were times when it was hard for me to not go below the budget because I didn't care. I just wanted to. I'm a very impulsive person. I'm one of those immature people where I want to do what feels good now. If I'm stressed, I either eat or I go spend money. That's what I do. And I'm stressed a lot. So yes, we had some bumps, but it's worth it. And it's fun when you guys are on the same, working towards the same page. Again, it's reiterating the system won't work if you don't. And then only to the degree of your intensity. And that's the beauty of this plan too, guys. They talk about being gazelle intense in parts of this book. Some people may be super, super gazelle intense, and some people may not want to be that way. It's totally up to you and your family, and it's in your control. So know that. Yeah. And then it says it's time to take responsibility. So that's what I wrote down too. That's all my notes that I have for the intro, chapters 1 and chapter 2. So if you guys have questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions, or if you guys want to add on to that, go for it.
Yeah, I'll probably echo kind of through what I go through, a lot of what you said. But when we were kind of talking about tonight and how we wanted to go, there are a couple things that I was like, okay, I really think if we can get across these two things, we will have done our jobs. Number one is this boils down to a behavior change and realizing it all boils down to the habits that we all have created for ourselves and being able to recognize what they are now and where we want to go. The other thing is realizing kind of all of these beliefs that I had about money, he had about money, Ashley had about money, that were causing us to make all of these decisions that weren't true. We based our beliefs on kind of just the culture around us and realizing that we are fed a lot of lies about you have to have debt, you have to have a credit card, you have to have all these things. And because, they don't teach this stuff in school, you guys. So we are constantly inundated with all that. So we have to be really, really conscious of what we're feeding our mind and how we think about money before we can ever make a change. So that's what I'm going to go through. There is a lot in chapters 3, 4, and 5, mainly 3 and 4. Some of the points I will go in depth, and some of them he talked about buying gold or investing in gold. I don't think a lot of us are investing in gold, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But there are some that I think probably all of us at one point or another have kind of fallen into just believing or taking at face value because it's so ingrained into our culture.
Number one, I guess a couple of things. First thing is this. I said this last week. If you don't understand everything, don't get scared away, because what I've found is through this process, it actually gets more and more simple. Everything becomes more and more clear as you dig in. So the most foggy, maybe toughest parts to grab are at the beginning, and everything will get so much more smooth as we go through it. To piggyback on what Ashley said, this is just to kind of tell you how I looked at things or how we began to talk. Terminology is huge, and Ashley talked about the word sacrifice, and I may or may not have said this last week, but I say it to a lot of people a lot of times, regardless of the journey you're on, but specifically on your debt freedom journey. The word sacrifice, what we have replaced that word with is investment. So we are investing our time. We're not sacrificing our time. We are investing our eat out money into our future. We're not sacrificing a time or two out to eat, because like Ashley said, that's a really scary, hairy, nasty word that nobody likes to use. So replace it with a word like investment that's a little bit more well received, and it's actually more truthful because you are investing that one meal out into your future. The last thing I want to say before Trista gets into this is she kept talking about it being a behavioral change, and that's exactly what it is. But this can't be, and the only thing that I can really relate it to, this can't be like church, or this can't be like our prayer Zoom, where you show up, you get all fired up for the week, and then you just return to your old habits through the week and try to clear things up again on Sunday night.
Or I would even relate it to going to conference, right? We come out fired up and we are ready to blaze trails and we're going to do all these things. And then life happens the next couple weeks and it gets hard and you have to kind of make some decisions that you don't want to make or show up when you don't want to. Exact same thing with this.
You gain the knowledge, you get fired up on Sunday night with this, but it is entirely up to you Monday through Saturday to actually implement it. It's up to you to pull your shovel out and actually dig with the tools and the knowledge that you're going to gain on these Sunday nights. I will guarantee you, again, we're not getting paid to do this right here. We have a passion for helping you guys with your financial life, and I honestly believe this is the best tool going to help you enjoy the money that you earn.
Absolutely. Okay, so he kind of, in the first 5 chapters, he kind of lays the groundwork. So next week is when we'll actually get into okay, so we understand why we think the way we do about money. Now, what do we actually do? What are the steps that we're going to take to actually pay off our debt or get out of debt? So chapter 3 is all about our beliefs about debt. And the beliefs that are just so ingrained into our culture for so long that we just accept them as truth. And like Ashley said, we live in a I want it now kind of culture, and consumer or the credit card companies know that, or the lenders know that. And so that is a 100% sign of immaturity. And I had a whole heck of a lot of growing up to do when I started on this journey, and I still do, guys. We are not perfect by all means. We still, to be quite honest, I'm so glad that we're doing this again, just because we needed to get back to like that. We need to get our envelopes out and we need to do the things that got us here again. Because you just, over time, you're like, we got our debt paid off, we're good.
What happens
but then you get lazy. And
I don't even know if it's so much lazy as no matter how exciting the process, a process instated time and again becomes stale. And so things get stale and you're just like, you know what, we can get away with 1 month of not doing it. Well, as soon as you get away with 1 month of not doing it, it's like taking a hit of that drug and you are back on the horse again. You have to stay disciplined. Discipline is truly the key.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go through the main points. Like I said, I'll hit on some more than others, but he started with saying debt is so ingrained into our culture that when you decide to go on your journey, people are going to think that is strange and it's weird, and you might even get some ridicule, especially when, you know, your friends are going out and they want to go to lunch and you have to say no because it's not in the budget. They're going to be like, oh, come on, it's not that hard. It's like $20. That is like, but you have to, if you're getting ridicule or people are, you know, coming down on you, consider the source, you guys. I always get, and this parallels a lot with what we do, because what we do is not the norm, okay? Network marketing is not the norm. You're going to have people that are like, oh, you're part of one of those scams. Consider the source. Usually those people are broke, unhappy, and struggling. And so just know that debt freedom is the best feeling in the world. So, and rich people don't have debt. Millionaires don't have debt. So
the normal thing, because like Ashley said, 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. The normal thing is to live paycheck to paycheck. So we want to be anything but normal. I'll just go ahead and take it as a compliment when somebody says that I'm crazy for wanting to live debt free.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go through the myths, okay, that he goes through. Myth 1, debt is a tool and should be used to create prosperity. Okay. I'm pretty sure, I mean, you can tell, like, obviously he does not believe that to be the case, but the reason why is because if you look around, success leaves clues, I just said it, like 75% of millionaires when they were surveyed said the key to wealth was to achieve and maintain debt freedom. Millionaires are not broke. They pay for stuff in cash. They don't get to be millionaires because they have a crap ton of debt. They live debt free. Let's go to myth number 2. If I loan money to friends or relatives, I am helping them. That is a really bad idea, you guys. And I know sometimes you're like, oh, but I want to help them. That's fine, but give it to them, because you will break relationships, because usually 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be able to pay you back if they need it.
So I won't say who, but I will give a real life example. A friend of ours needed some money, and they needed it in the worst way. Okay. Well, we had it, but it was in an amount that it was all we had. Okay. We went ahead and we gave them this decent amount of money, and they said, we will pay you back. And right away we said, no, you won't pay us back. This is a gift. And there was a couple of reasons for that. I didn't want them to have to go through the hardship of paying us back. And I also didn't want to feel like we had something on them, or for them to feel like we had something on them. If you're going to loan someone money, take the loan out of it and make it a gift. It's the most easy way to do things without creating this rift within the relationship too.
Yeah. I mean, really, you can't control how debt affects a relationship. It's going to affect it, and it's usually negatively. So
you're not going to get it back anyway.
No.
If you really, chances are, if you do, I would be super surprised, and good for that person. But chances are, you're not going to get it back anyway. It's just kind of how it works, because they're in that position because their behavior has got them there. So the only way you will get it back is if they've gone through a system like us and they've changed their behavior.
Yeah, it all boils down to behavior. You will hear that word 95 times tonight. Okay, so myth number 3, by co-signing a line, I am helping my friend or relative. You guys, lenders want to give away money, period. They are looking for people who are at all eligible to give a loan to, because they're going to make money off of them. If they cannot get a loan on their own, they're not going to be able to pay you back, period. We'll just leave it at that. They're not going to pay back. Myth number 4, cash advance, payday loans, rent to own, those kind of loans are needed to help lower income people get ahead. And you pay like 650% interest on those loans over over the lifespan of them.
650%.
That is insane. So really bad idea. 90 days, same as cash, equals using other people's money for free. Again, 90 days, same as cash. You're not going to get it paid back in 90 days. You're just not. They know that. They design these programs for you to fail.
They know that life happens. Okay. You want that TV more than you want to realize that life happens. Okay, because the TV's staring you in the face and you can see it on your wall watching your favorite show. That's why it's turned on in the store. That's why the gentleman comes up and says, 90 days, same as cash, in that moment, because your endorphins are flowing. And what do? You sign on the dotted line. They know that. And again, I'm not saying they're bad people. What I'm saying is the people who market debt, they are the organizations who market debt. Chances are that they may not be smarter than us, but they are more versed in that arena. Okay, it would be like stepping in the batter's box against me. I know how to pitch. You don't want to get in the batter's box. I don't want to be in their batter's box. Okay, I want nothing to do with it because they know that world. So I'll just play on my side of the fence where I know it's safe, and I'm going to be happy that I did that 5 or 6 years from now.
Absolutely. And the thing I like about Dave, there are a lot of numbers in here, and so sometimes you can be like whatever. But statistically speaking, he puts it in there so you know he's not just making it up or saying his opinion. It is what it is. 88% of 90-day same as cash loans convert to actual debt with like 24 to 36% interest. So it's not worth it to get that couch that you really want that you're not going to pay off in 90 days.
Let me go ahead and clarify real quick. Spending money is not wrong. Okay, I don't want anybody to hop off and think, well, they're just going to tell us to not spend money. That's not the case. Spending money that you don't have is where you get yourself into a bind. Okay, if you want the TV, perfectly fine. Save up until you can buy the TV. There's a difference, and there's a really subtle thing that's happened in our language today, and we talk to each other like this. Well, I'm going to go get a car, and guess what? I can afford the payments. Well, affording the payments is not the same thing as buying the car. Okay, so what I want to say is, guess what? I've saved up enough to go buy the car. Not I can afford the payments. I'm going to go pay for the car.
Myth number 6. Car payments are a way of life. You'll always have one. I kind of fell victim to this. I thought, like, it's just a car payment. We can afford $250 a month. Then the car payment kind of got a little bit bigger. Well, we're doing okay at $250. Let's go to $375. Oh, we're doing okay. Let's go trade it in and get something bigger.
We're doing oil and brakes and things that come up also.
I really just thought, like, I'll always have a car payment. I can afford $400 a month. Like, it is what it is. That is not. Cars are one of the biggest ways we lose money because they do not hold their value at all. Buying a new car is like the worst investment you can make. He statistically pulls it. Millionaires drive cars that are like 2 to 3 years old, that are in great condition, look for a good deal. But instead of, again, this comes back to wanting it and wanting it now. I think we got out of school and we graduated and we're like, we have these great jobs. We need new cars. We need cars that our parents worked their entire lives to drive around in, right? Rather than getting an old beater and saving cash. So if I can afford $1,500 for a car, I go out and get a $1,500 car while I put cash away to save to pay cash for a new car. And that was totally like mind-blowing to me that was even a possibility. But car payments do not have to be a way of life. But it's one of those things where you might have to sacrifice and not have exactly what you want until you can afford it.
This is probably not the Zoom where you're going to hear a lot about going out and buying the Louis. All right. Now here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with going out and buying a Louis. And I'm not making fun. As a matter of fact, Trista's had one. Maybe not a Louis, but you've had something nice. Okay.
Yeah, not a Louis.
There's nothing wrong with getting it. Just make sure that it's on the budget and make sure that you can buy it. Okay, those are the most important components. Can you afford to buy it?
Yeah. Myth number 7, leasing a car is what sophisticated do. You should lease things that go down in value and take advantage of tax. End of the day, leasing is not a great option either because you pay a ton of interest and usually a lot of fees to walk away. And essentially you just rented a really expensive car and you don't get anything out of it.
When you have questions like that right there would be like a common question. Somebody would be like, well, why not lease? put it in the chat, and one of us.
I really hope that you guys have taken the time to actually read through the chapters, because there is a lot of good information and like the numbers of it. Like he explains exactly why mathematically or why it is not a good idea. Number 8, you can get a good deal on a new car at 0% interest. Again, new cars lose $100 value every single week after you drive it off the lot. So you will never get that money out of it. If you turn around and sold it 2 weeks later, you're going to lose money.
Think about that.
Crazy.
$400 a month.
Yep.
In value and depreciation.
Okay. This is one that I think is so ingrained into everything in our culture. You don't think you can get anything without having the credit card or without having your credit build up. You should get a credit card to build your credit. Essentially, when you have a really good FICO score or when you have a really good credit score, that means you really freaking love debt. It doesn't mean you're good with money. It means you have a ton of debt.
Who's ready to pay off a credit card?
Not me, but I was.
Let's get them gone. All right. If they're not gone, let's get rid of them. And that's what we want for you. Like nothing would make me happier than for everybody on this Zoom to be like 6 months from now, be like, guess what? Credit cards are gone. We can do that. Okay. Like that is completely doable. Let's just link arms and do it.
Mm-hmm. I think there's something really powerful in kind of like, this is kind of like it works. Like you see somebody who's been there and done it and you see how their life has changed. The same thing goes with this. Find somebody who has gone debt-free and get inspired by their story because it just proves that it's possible. We're not perfect, you guys. I will say that a million times. We are not perfect, but we have been there and done it, and we're living on the other side, and we know what kind of freedom it allows when you do it.
Let's figure out a way, and maybe Ashley and Trista have already figured this out, but if there's a way that we can kind of not a group text, because if you guys group text me, I'm throwing the phone. But if there is a way that we can stay communicative, and like if somebody just throws 25 extra bucks
I would love to
on their credit card,
everything
that where you can post that and everybody can pat you on the back and we can hold one another accountable and be each other's cheerleaders, that's going to go a really long way in our debt-free journey too. So if there's some way we can create something like that, I think that would go a long way.
We can come up with something. So essentially, if you have a high credit score, that means you love debt. So essentially, like you want a 0 credit score, which seems it is so against what culture teaches. And so that is when I first heard that, I was like, nuh-uh, like you can't go get anything then.
Yeah,
guess what? You can. If you have cash, you can.
Our credit score popped up a while back and hers was a little better than mine. And she thought that was a cool thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that it is.
Like you have no credit. And obviously I was the spender, so I have credit, you guys, and I'm not proud of it. But I haven't had a credit card in a long time, so I bet it's lower now. But okay.
There's nothing wrong with having a good credit score. That's just it's more facetious talk, really. But if I could have a 0 credit score,
absolutely,
that would be great. As long as I was financially stable, 0 would work just fine for me.
Yep. Okay, so number 10, you need a credit card to rent a car, check into a hotel, or buy online. We have not had a credit card in 5 years now. I've never had an issue with any of that. The only thing I will say is if I went to go rent a car, I couldn't get a premium sports car because I didn't have a credit card.
That's the weirdest thing.
That is
no
the
joke.
Only time I can still rent a car.
It
just
was
not
so frustrating
not a sports
to me.
car.
I never get mad at anyone. And it wasn't the poor girl's fault or a guy, whoever it was. I can't remember. But I was at the desk and we were trying to rent a car. And she said, what kind of car would you like to put it on? And I said, well, we're going to pay cash or something, or debit card or whatever it was. And she said, well, you've got to have a credit card. So whichever credit card you guys use. And I said, well, we don't have a credit card. And she said, well, then you can't rent a car. And I was literally boiling. And I finally said, I'll buy the car. Whatever I've got to do, I will pay you to rent this car. And they would not rent us a car, and we had to go to the next place to rent a car.
That's right.
I said, with all due respect, if you could go to your higher up and tell them that this is kind of silly, please do that. But we're gonna head down here to whatever it was, Dollar Rental or whatever, and get us a sweet little slug bug.
Yeah. So maybe at one point that was the case, but that is hi Brooklyn. That is no longer an issue. Like I said, we cut all our credit cards up 5 years ago. Haven't had a new one, and we're just fine. Okay. Number 11, the debit card has more risk than credit card. Also, again, not true anymore. Visa, I know Visa because that's what I have. They have all of the same like fraud protection and like if it gets stolen, you have mainly the same protection. Sometimes there is maybe a benefit of running your debit card as credit, but not actually having it as a credit card. But
I think we need to do like a public cutting up of the cards.
Whew, again, a really amazing business post to make.
Yes.
You guys, like we've said, 70% of the population is pretty much drowning in credit card debt. When you can say, even if it's one credit card that only had $200 on it, some people can't do that. So that is an incredible opportunity post to be able to post. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, it just feels good. Getting rid of that feels so good. Okay. Number 12, if you pay your credit card off every month, you get free use of someone else's money. Again, this is something that I was like pretty bad about. I was like, you know what? I'll pay it off every month. It's fine. Then lo and behold, I didn't pay it off. So you're playing a really risky game if you do that. And more than anything, it is easy to swipe a credit card and not think a bit about, there's no emotional attachment to that whatsoever. It's like, I'm swiping a card, I'm getting what I want, it feels good. You don't think about the cash that's actually like you're going to have to spend $50 more to pay that off in interest. I
have one friend who does it and does it well, if there is a way to do it well. He's 65 years old. Yep, he's a friend of mine. The majority of my good friends are about 65. That's kind of silly, I know. But
you're an old soul.
He's 65 years old, and he flat out handles a credit card like a boss. He's the only person that I have ever seen that can do it. None of us, I'm going to go ahead and call you out, we can't do it. We're not 65. We want things, and we want them now. And if we have a credit card, we're going to get them. He has the ability to say, you know what, I can hold off. I'll pay it off each and every month, and I'm going to accumulate points. I don't even know what he uses the points for, but he does it for whatever reason. But for us on this group, we're not going to use them.
Again, success leaves clues. Wealthy people do not worry about points on a credit card. They just don't. Broke people do. So just know it is a really risky game if you get into that. So it's better just to pay it off and cut them up and don't have them. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, this one, like the next one, like, whew, holds a really deep spot in my heart, because what really got me to go all in with this and with our debt freedom journey is because I did not want my kids to learn my behavior that I had just grown up not knowing about money. And so I made really stupid decisions and put my family in a really bad spot. And I did not want my kids to know that. I wanted them to know a different way, and I wanted to be able to teach them. So we incorporated our kids into this. They have their give, save, and spend envelopes. They do all the things, but our kids are inundated in our culture from the time they are Brooklyn's age. Now there's Monopoly with a credit card. There is, because again, they know, lenders know, and Dave talks about this, brand loyalty is huge. So if you know that you can get a kiddo when they're, in their teens playing with a Monopoly MasterCard credit card, that they might use MasterCard when they get older. And so they are younger and younger. Our kids are being just blasted with these messages. And so for me, I wanted to make sure that I was, teaching them young and teaching them how to deal with money from a very young age. But myth number 13, make sure your teenager gets a credit card so he or she will learn responsibility to be responsible with money. We aren't even responsible, you guys, so we cannot teach our kids to be. We just don't know.
You get your teenage daughter or son a credit card, you are teaching them how to be irresponsible with their money.
You're teaching them to play with fire, essentially. And you are not setting them up for success in finances. And so, again, kids are inundated with it, so we want to be proactive. Kids are going to do what we do, and so we wanted them to learn. 14, debt consolidation saves interest and you have one smaller payment. While that may be true, okay, again, the behavior hasn't changed. How we think about money hasn't changed at this point. And so if we just take all of our debt, combine it, we're going to have probably a lower payment for a much longer period of time. So over time, we're actually going to pay off more, or we're going to pay more. And so until you can learn the behavior change that needs to happen and how to think about money and how to deal with money, it's not a good idea. Now, again, I did say last week that we took all of our credit cards, combined them into one credit card payment that had 0% interest for the first 12 months. I did that because my behavior was changing, and so it was going to work. But if there is no behavior change, this kind of thing will not work. Number 15, borrowing more money than my home's value is wise because I'll restructure my debt. That obviously is not a good idea because you're taking out more than your home is worth. So if something happens, you're never going to get that money out of your house. 16, if no one used debt, our economy would collapse. Totally false. People would give more, spend more, and do it. The credit card companies will lose, but the American people, or the people, would totally win. Okay, so really to wrap up that chapter, that was a lot. And I know, and like I said, I do hope you guys read it because there is a lot of like concrete examples and concrete information in there that will strengthen your belief in what he's saying, because we've been told the opposite for so long, that debt is a tool and it can be used for good when it absolutely can't. It just destroys. Let's see. Anything else you want to say about that? Okay. Your largest wealth building asset is your income. I underlined that and starred that. There are two things we can control: how much money we make and how much money we spend. And what we do with that will determine whether or not we are financially stable. So again, I'm going to tie it back to the business. You guys, every single one of you has an incredible tool in your hand to make more money. You have to know that and be confident in that and be loud and proud and bold about what this company is going to do for you. But that's something you can control, how much money you make. And then we gotta change that behavior so that, a lot of times, and we've been guilty of this at times, we're not perfect. We make more, we spend more, when really that's the worst thing you can do. Make more, pay off more debt. Make more, pay off more debt.
Save more.
Save more.
Give more.
Give more. Don't spend more. But anyhow, okay. So,
and it's even okay to spend more as long as we're gauging how much we're spending.
Yeah.
It can't be we just begin to spend the entire surplus. That new amount, that extra that comes in, just gets rolled into our already established budget. And now we get to, again, tell each and every one of those dollars within that raise where to go. We're just managing our money, and now a good thing, we have more to manage.
Yeah. Okay, so then chapter number 4 is actually like myths about money and how we think about money. And some of this, I'm going to be completely honest, goes way over my head. When we start talking about like term life insurance versus like, I don't know any of this. Like, that is a foreign language to me. Luckily, that's more him, and I'm sure Nathan is probably the same for you. Like, he probably does that. We also use a Dave Ramsey, what's he called?
An ELP. So
ELP.
This is
he's a CPA that is like specifically.
It's a Dave Ramsey financial advisor is what it is. Okay. So this is a guy who delivers Dave's philosophy entirely when it comes to saving for the future.
Yeah.
So your mutual funds and how you're handling your Roths and how you're handling all of your investments for the future, your college funding. He's just really, really good. And if anybody would be interested in getting his name, I'd be more than happy to send his info to you. Yeah. He's phenomenal, and he is also free.
Yeah, it's such a foreign language to me that sometimes I just like shut down. But again, it is a really good chapter to read and just get the basics of it. And then if you need help getting plugged in with somebody who needs, further to help you further, we can absolutely help you with that as well. Okay. So myths about money. Let's go. Number 1, everything will be fine when I retire. I know I'm not saving yet, but it will be okay. You guys, Social Security and the government assistance is probably not going to be there by the time we get to retirement age. It is our responsibility, and we should have been saving like 10 years ago if we're going to retire, and we're going to retire. But the good thing is, if we recognize it now and we start doing little bits now, it really compounds over time. But your retirement is your responsibility and no one else's. So really, it is like a wake up call to say, like, if you haven't, or if you're not putting anything away in retirement, we need to start thinking about it. We need to get rid of our debt so that way we can actually be saving for our future tomorrow.
And we have less time to do it than we think, guys. I was just thinking about that yesterday. We were in the car, and I told Trista, I said, on August 23rd, it will be halfway for Ellie's time spent at home, if she in fact leaves at 18.
She'll be 9.
Halfway. Time goes way faster than we even realize. Like, we can sit here and we can talk about, boy, time is really flying. Mm-hmm. It goes even faster than flying. Like, before you know it, it is gone, okay? So we have to take charge on the front end, specifically with our finances. Because if we can take charge of our finances when we're a little bit younger, when we get older, we can kind of control how fast that time goes. Because one of the reasons time flies so fast is because of financial strain. So if we can at least handle one of those components that takes our time from us, we'll at least get to enjoy more of that time later when it really counts.
And again, in the next few chapters, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, and he talks specifically about investing in retirement funds and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry about it yet. We will get there in the next few weeks. But just know, like, if you haven't started thinking about retirement or planning for retirement, it's time. Like, you have to do that. Number 2, gold is a good investment and will cover me if the economy collapses. Essentially, that's not true, but I don't think any of us are investing in gold, so I'm not going to go there. Number 3, I can get rich quickly and easily if I join these groups, buy this DVD set, and work 3 hours a week. There is no easy way, you guys, period. There's no shortcut. There's no group that's going to do it for you, no DVD program. It takes work, and it takes a change in behavior. Hard work, living on less than you make, getting out of debt, and living on a plan are the only ways that this is going to work. Number 4, again, this is like not my thing, but cash value life insurance, like whole life, will help me retire wealthy. Bad idea. Number 5, playing the lottery and other forms of gambling will make you rich. I think we can all say common sense, that's probably not the case. You don't see millionaires standing in line to buy lottery tickets. You see broke people standing in line to buy lottery tickets. I actually thought this was really a good, this is not a moral position. It is a mathematical statistical fact. Study shows that the zip codes that spend 4 times what anyone else does on lottery tickets are those in the lower income parts of town. Again, broke people buy lottery tickets, not the wealthy. Number 6, mobile homes trailers will allow you to own something instead of renting that will help you become wealthy. Trailer, hey y'all, fun fact, we lived in a trailer the first year and a half we were married. Honestly, I'm proud of that. There's nothing wrong with it. We did not buy it. We rented it. It was like $200 a month. It was what we could afford. It actually got us on our feet. So whatever. But buying a trailer, they do not hold their value whatsoever. So you are actually better to rent a lower, if you can afford a house, go that route. But it is just, trailers are a horrible investment. Number 7, prepaying for my funeral or my kids' college expenses is a good way to invest and protect myself against inflation. So the first time I read this, I was like, hold up, he's telling me not to save for my kids' college? No, he's not. But he is saying there are certain funds that you should put the money in that are going to grow more, be tax-free. So just knowing what kind of fund to put the money in is the most important part. And we're gonna talk about those things. So again, don't get too freaked out thinking you have to do a bunch of research. And I also just put our advisor. Again, he's the Dave Ramsey ELP. That's the guy we use. You can tell him that I sent you. I don't get any kickback on that or anything. It just might help you get to the front of the line. I don't know. He's a wonderful human. We've used him for a really long time. Depending on where you are, he'll just meet you right where you are at your house. He comes in, breaks everything down for you, and he is phenomenal. Yeah, he's wonderful. But there's that info for you, by the way, his cell and his office number. Yep. Okay, number 8, I don't have time to work on a budget, retirement, or estate plan. And again, I said this last week, but I heard somebody say that they didn't like, once I heard somebody say they didn't like budgets because they thought it was scarcity mindset. A budget is one of the most important things you can do. And it doesn't become important until it is. when those emergencies come up, and then you're like, crap, I should have been working on this 6 years ago.
If you were to write down, so let's use It Works as the parallel. That's what we've been doing. And again, like Ashley said, this journey parallels It Works a whole bunch. If you write down your daily 6 list, if you write down, I'm gonna friend 50 new people today. I'm going to make my 4 posts, 2 of this and 2 of that. I'm going to eat lunch at this time. I'm going to do these things, and you would categorize those, and they would be non-negotiables, and you would get them done. It would be a lot easier to get done than free-flowing. This budget is like that game plan. Again, it's like that 6 list that helps us get through the day as effectively as possible in this debt-free journey. It has to be done. The budget is a non-negotiable item. You do not have to pay for it. You can write it down on paper. It has to be done.
Yeah. I'm just going to read this quote. It was actually by John Maxwell, who we all, we love John Maxwell. All of us do. But this is actually his quote. A budget is people telling their money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And isn't that the truth? Back before we did a budget, we would get to the end of the month and be like, well, where the heck did we spend the extra $3,000 that we should have had? Oh, that's right. We spent it at Wendy's and McAllister's and wherever else we wanted to go. So again, just knowing budget is one of the most important pieces of work you can do. The debt management companies on TV like AmeriDebt will save me. They won't, because your habits don't change, you guys. So this is a behavior change again. No, nobody else. Handling money is the same way. You have to change your behavior. I can buy a kit to clean up my credit and all my past misdeeds will be washed away. 9 times out of 10, those companies that claim that they can clean up your credit for you are fraudulent. So like go to jail kind of fraudulent. So definitely do not recommend getting into any of that. Number 11, my divorce decree says my spouse has to pay, so I don't. Again, I hope that nobody finds themselves in this situation. I really, really do. But if both of your names are on a loan, even if, say we got divorced, both of our names are on our house. If he decided, the judge said, hey, Eli, you have to pay 100% of the loan. If he decides, heck, I don't really feel like it, I'm not going to, I am liable for that debt because my name is on the house. So even though it does not matter that the divorce judge said, this is Eli's responsibility, my name's on it, the collectors are going to be coming after me as well. So just know that if that happens, then you definitely need to talk to someone who can help you probably refinance, get your name off of the loan, whatever the case may be, but you need to talk to someone about that, but not just assume like, oh, well, they said he's responsible for it, I'm going to be good. If your name is still on it, you will be, the collectors can come after you. Number 12, the collector was so helpful. He really likes me. No, he doesn't. He wants your money. Usually they'll start nice, make you feel like friends, and then they will turn nasty. And again, do not, like he even says, like never allow collectors electronic access to your checking account. Never send post-dated checks. They will abuse you if you give them this power, and there's nothing you can do because you owe them. You owe them. And so you were a bill collector. You were? I did not know that. I totally didn't know that.
There you have
I
it.
bet you were a nice one though, right?
Yeah, I worked for American General Finance for like 13 years. And I started out like a data entry clerk, and then I worked in the collections department for years and years and years.
Really?
So like anybody that like purchased from like Ashley Furniture Home Store, or like all of the loans though that we did were like 24% interest. And then when I moved here, I worked at the local American General branch, and that's all we did was take or do loans for people who didn't have great credit.
So you had a front row seat to this, the devastation of debt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we even had to like repo people's cars and stuff like that. But yeah,
it's just, it's nasty. It's nasty to get into.
Yep.
Okay, there's just a couple more, so I'm going to go really fast. I'll just file bankruptcy and start over. It seems so easy. That's a totally bad idea. It's not something, he is very bankruptcy is for very, very few people. Usually there is a way out. The work is hard, you guys. It is hard to say no to things, to get stuff paid off. but it's doable for like 99% of situations. It's just you have to do the work. But bankruptcy stays on your report for 10 years or 7 years, depending on what type you clear.
How many behaviors are you willing to change? That's what all this boils down to. What are you willing to invest or, again, sacrifice now so that we can improve tomorrow? What can we say no to today so that we can say yes to it later?
Yeah. I can't use cash because it's dangerous. I might get robbed. I really think it doesn't matter what you do, you might get robbed. Like, that's just the world we live in. But that's silly. I can't afford insurance. He goes through specifically and lists what kinds of insurance that he thinks are truly, truly important. And it's on page 71 in this version of the book. I would take time, and there's a couple of stories in here that really talks about the power of insurance and how it can really be a huge benefit to your family.
You can become insurance poor, all right, meaning you're paying too much on too many different types of things, but there are some, at least in our lives, that are non-negotiable. But like I said, it's not that insurance is a bad idea on any level, but it's definitely not all necessary. There are just some for us that are non-negotiables.
Yeah. If I do a will, I might die. I think that this statistic was insane. 70% of Americans die without a will. That is really, one, kind of scary, two, really sad. But it is like an essential thing to get taken care of. You're going to die, so go out in style and with peace of mind. That's what he said. Okay, and then I'm going to jump into chapter 5. I know we're right at an hour, so I'm going to go through these really quickly. And honestly, there isn't a whole ton that really probably has to be said about them, but 2 more barriers or 2 more hurdles that people have to go kind of come through is ignorance and keeping up with the Joneses. So ignorance is simply just not knowing. No one is born knowing this stuff. And again, we are so inundated from our culture with the opposite of what the truth is, that it's no wonder we all have no idea what we're doing, but no one is born knowing this stuff. We have to learn it. We have to teach it. And again, like, if you have kids on here, I really, really, I hope more than anything you go through this journey with that in mind of, I have to teach my kids this for the next generation. I have to let them know that debt does not have to be a way of life. Debt does not have to be the norm. They can go to school and not have student loans. They can buy a car and not have a car payment. They can set their families up in a way that we were not able to because we were ignorant. We just didn't know. So I really, really hope that you guys, if for nothing else, you come on and you go through this journey for that very reason. And then number 2, keeping up with the Joneses. I think it's the kind of, the blessing and the curse of this business sometimes, that, you come in and then you start making some money and you're like, oh, but I need the Louis, or I need the whatever, because 1, it's an awesome post, but 2, like, there can be a little bit of a trap in that. And so you have to kind of be mindful of that and guard your mind and how you're thinking about things, because it can be a really, really dangerous, it's a slippery slope that you can get into.
Let's think about this for a second. So let's compare 2 different kinds of posts. Not that either is right or wrong, but let's think about the kind of distributor you're going to attract with a Louis post and the kind of distributor you're going to attract with a get out of debt post. So with a get out of debt post, you're going to attract someone who would love to get out of debt. In my personal opinion, that's a whole lot deeper why than the Louis one has. They're going to give up a lot quicker because what they want is something material that doesn't have a whole lot of substance. But the mom who joins that wants to get out of debt, that's a deep why. So I think that's just worth talking about anyway.
Just knowing that you guys have the tool that can help families get out of debt is an incredibly powerful thing. But I think social media in general, outside of the business, not even talking about the business, but social media in general makes this 20,000 times worse. Where we see what everybody's getting, and we see the houses they're living in, and we see the cars, and we see the purses and the shoes and all that. So be very mindful of that. And you have to have in your heart so deeply that you want your family to be set and you want them to be financially free, that you can say no to the things that are flashy and that are, pretty, so that you can set your family up for life. So those are a couple more things that are super, super important to overcoming in order to get where you want to go.
The Louis is cool, but it doesn't provide peace of mind.
It is really cool. I'm not going to lie. And when you have buku dollars and it can be in the budget, go get your Louis, y'all. Go get your Louis. But if you have to save for it and you have to budget for it and you have to say no to doing something else for it, like, that's cool.
But who are you fooling at that point?
There's nothing that if it's a true desire of your heart and you truly, truly want it, cool. Go out and work for it, but pay cash for it and know, like, every month I'm putting aside $100, and at the end of the year, I'm going to be able to go get that Louis, and that's going to feel really good. I really would get your debt gone.
Yeah, that's got to go first.
And so sometimes
your Louis don't come before that. At least in my mind.
Or maybe when you pay off all your credit cards, you can say, okay, I'm going to go get this Coach purse that I've really have my eye on, but I'm going to pay cash for it.
Is Coach a deal still?
I don't think Coach is even really a big deal anymore.
Is anybody rolling on a Coach anymore?
I haven't bought a purse from anywhere other than Target in years.
So nobody's rolling Coach. See, they're calling you old and out of style. They're like, they're shutting the Zoom off.
It's fine, you guys.
They're like, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. I'm out of here.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else.
Coach.
Everything else. Ashley, is there anything else you want to add before we hop off of here? No. Okay.
I had a thought and then I didn't. You guys started talking about Coach. It made me laugh and I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah. So I think kind of to wrap up everything we've talked about tonight is really about identifying that this has to be a behavior change, and then identifying the things that you maybe think about money that are either hindering you on your journey or that you need to, that maybe you need to change in how you kind of think about things in order to get further in your journey. So next week, we will probably go through, let me look and see. We'll probably try to do about the same so that we can get through this in 3 weeks. So we'll say next week, we're going to go through 6 through 10. And then the following week, we'll finish it out. Does it sound good to everybody?
Like you could have read those first 5 chapters. Seriously, if you would have committed to it, you could have all 5 done in an hour. So if you haven't read those, commit this week and catch back up, and then read the next as well. I mean, I know everybody, myself included, I can find 2 hours, even if it's 30 minutes before bed every night to catch up. It's really important stuff. I mean, all we're kind of doing is recapping. All the meat is right in here. This is the only guide that you need. This is just a group that we're going to be able to run with.
Yeah.
So make sure you're getting in there and digging in.
And again, throughout the book, he puts in real life stories so that your belief in this, there's nothing more powerful than a story. You know that. We say that all the time with It Works. People buy you, they buy your story. That's what, gets their attention and gets them to join. Same thing here. The most powerful part of this book is the stories of people actually achieving the debt freedom.
And so if this does get seen by anybody else on the recording, don't think that it's just easy for us to say because we're ambassador or because we've gotten to this point. Mm-hmm. We weren't here. Okay. This is not where we were. Our story didn't start at Ambassador Diamond. Our story didn't start as business owners. Okay. Our story started robbing Peter to pay Paul. Our story started in a trailer. Okay. Mm-hmm. Our story started struggling. So don't say, well, it's just easy for you to say those things and pay cash for a car because you're here. Well, that wasn't always the case. We had to work really hard to get here. And this is the journey. This is the tool that we used to get here. And you guys can pull off the exact same thing.
Yeah, I know the same thing was true for the Kunklers as well. They were not making money with It Works when they were able to do this. They were living paycheck to paycheck. Same with us. We were struggling to get by. And we were still able to change our behavior enough that we could say, okay, instead of going out to eat, we're going to pay off our credit card. Instead of going out with our friends, we're going to pay off our car. Instead of going on vacation, we're going to pay off our student loans.
That feels good too.
really does.
Just slamming it down.
But you guys, it is sometimes you have to say no to the things that you truly, truly want right now to get to where you want to go. But it is so worth it. So I'm excited. Next week, we're actually going to get into the steps of how to do this. So I am excited to see you guys then.
See you guys.
Night, guys.